Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to control your Yamaha TF console wirelessly from afar using an iPad and a Wi-Fi router. I think this is one of the coolest things we're able to do with these Yamaha boards because it makes running rehearsals so much more efficient and so much more effective when we're able to make changes to the soundboard up top, like at the top of the stadium or at the top of the band tower, where we can actually hear what's going on between the audio system and the band. Now, the router I have here, this is a Linksys WRT32X. This is what I carry with me to every rehearsal that I go to. And some schools already have a wireless router that is in their mixer cart. Many people, most people don't, so I make sure to travel with this so that I can use this wireless connection when I'm at their rehearsal to do my job as a sound engineer really effectively, to give them the best out of the time that they're having me there for. Now, as a band director, this should also help you run your rehearsals more efficiently as well, because I've seen it many times where you're trying to make changes to the soundboard, you're running the section with the soloist or even just trying to get the front ensemble balanced right, and you have to run up and down the stadium every single time you need to make changes, or you're having to yell down to the student, the kid at the soundboard, to have them make the changes, and that might not always be the most reliable way to get the precise edits and changes that you need to make. So doing it this way solves that problem. And for you tech people out there, it's also just really cool. It's a lot of fun to be able to mix wirelessly from up top. Now, thankfully, Yamaha has made this setup process super easy and super simple with their TF consoles. And I'm going to walk you through the process that I use every time I go to a rehearsal and I connect this thing up to a TF mixer. Now, a few things that you'll need to have in place before you actually start connecting things. Of course, you're gonna need a router itself. I believe you can use pretty much any Wi-Fi router. I've seen a whole bunch of different makes and models used just in my time doing this type of work. Again, I use the Linksys because it works really well for me. Here at Microphonic Designs, we're also a big fan of the Nighthawk series by Netgear. That's what I have my colleague Aaron Tucker set up with when he goes out to rehearsals for me, so that he's able to mix wirelessly as well. But for the longest time, I had a cheap, super basic Netgear router from like my college apartment that I still had, and it did the job well enough until I was able to upgrade to the Linksys. Definitely the better the router, the more range you're gonna get with your tablet. So I would say if you don't have one of these for your mixer setup just yet and you're looking to get a router, get one that has external antennas, because these are going to allow you so much more range. You'll be able to get so much further back with that wireless connection while still having a reliable connection. So for example, with this router here, I'm able to get up into the press box of some really tall stadiums and still have rock solid connection with my tablet. So again, the Nighthawk series by Netgear is a great way to go if you're not sure. And I do recommend the WRT32X by Linksys just because this is the one that I use. I don't actually know if this is still available because it was not on Amazon the last time I looked, but still something to check out if you're in the market. Another thing that you're going to have in place is the Yamaha, what do they call it? The StageMix app on your tablet. And it should be available on the App Store. Yeah, they call it the TF StageMix app. I will also leave the link to that application down below in the video description, like on the Yamaha page. And that should, like if you're watching the video from your tablet, that should take you to the App Store where you can install it for free, by the way, onto your tablet. So Yamaha has made that application free to download. And the nice thing about it, as we'll see here pretty soon, that the interface on the iPad app looks exactly like it does on the mixer itself. So it's pretty seamless going from the mixer to the tablet. It's really easy to do. So that being said, let's take a look at how we're going to connect our router to the mixer and then how to actually get this thing to talk to the mixer as well. Okay, so for our setup today in the demo, I've got my Linksys Wi-Fi router set up on the OG Off-World Invader pad and the Invader stand that they sold once upon a time. And I've of course got the TF3 next to it. I want to make sure that you've taken the time to follow the setup instructions for your Wi-Fi router if you've purchased one new, so that you've got a custom network name in your router, like maybe the name of your band, as well as a custom password that you know and can share with the rest of your staff. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and now take a look at what we need to connect the router to the mixer, which is of course an Ethernet cable, as well as the power supply for your Wi-Fi router. So just make sure that you've got space in the bottom of your mixer cart for the power supply. Sometimes these things are what we call a wall wart, and they can take up a space or two in your mixer cart. So just make sure you've got enough outlets to accommodate your router. I'm holding the camera by hand here, so please excuse any movement here. But let me give you a good look at where we need to connect our Ethernet cable. On the back of the mixer, we're looking for this port here. There's an Ethernet port here that's very different than the ones in the NY64D slot card, if you have one of these. So if you've got the stage boxes, the TO boxes connected, and this card is installed, we're not using this. Or you gotta make sure to use this one here with these little square looking things on the top. So let me take our cable here and connect it right there. And on the back of the router here, this is just as important. A lot of folks make the mistake of connecting to the internet port, but we do not want to connect there. We want to make sure we connect to one of the other ports that we have here. So this one should be the one that just says Ethernet, okay? So let me take our cable, and again, excuse the freehand camera here. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm plugging into port number 1. Again, you could use any of these, but the most important part is that you're not using the internet port. After having connected the Wi-Fi router to the back of the mixing console, I've gone ahead and turned the mixer on. I've powered it on, but I have not yet powered on the Wi-Fi router. And I'll show you why here in just a second. But first, let's navigate to the screen that we're gonna need to access in order to get everything up and running. I'm gonna hit the cog wheel. This is the setup menu. And then down here, the second from the left is a little icon that says network. That's what we're looking for. So right here, it shows a couple of options. The one that we wanna have selected and that is selected by default is the one that says DHCP. And because we've not yet powered on the router, you'll see that there's just a bunch of zeros here. And down here, we've got some more information. You can take a moment at this point to rename your Yamaha console. So for example, you know, with this one, I'm borrowing it from a school, so I could label this as the Little Elm TF3. So feel free to do that if you'd like. But here, we're gonna go ahead and power on the Wi-Fi router, and you'll kind of see what's going on here with the DHCP selected. So let me hit the power button on this thing. And as the router is powering up, I'll just take a second to note that some routers can take a minute to boot up, so just be patient. This is one of the big reasons that having a backup battery in your mixer cart is really helpful, because with one of those, we can have the mixer powered on, and we can also have our Wi-Fi router powered on, which means you're not waiting for the mixer to power up, and you're not waiting for your Wi-Fi network to go up, so that you can just be connected before you even roll onto the field for a performance, a halftime game, a competition, whatever. Now, you probably saw these numbers populate, and that's what's gonna happen. So when you power on the Wi-Fi router and you've got everything connected properly, the mixer is gonna automatically see that it has a Wi-Fi router connected to it, and DHCP, it's basically going to assign an IP address and the subnet mask and the gateway. It's gonna fill all that information in for you, which is very helpful. This is the point where we need to go ahead and connect to our Wi-Fi network with our tablet. So let me go ahead and navigate to the settings screen, and we'll do that now. Alrighty, so I'm in the Wi-Fi settings screen here on the iPad, and you'll see here, Microphonic Designs, that is the company Wi-Fi router. That's my Linksys. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect that, and you may have a pop-up that says, not connected to internet. There it is there, no internet connection. That's absolutely okay. We do not need the internet, or rather we don't need our router connected to the internet in order for this to work. The router is merely the bridge between the iPad and the mixer. So if you get this little notification, don't worry about it. Just click the Use Without Internet button and you'll be good to go. At this point, we can go ahead and open up the Yamaha StageMix app. So I've got it here, so let me open this. And when it opens up, you may be brought to the select mixer manual option or the auto option. Sometimes I'll see the mixer pop up on the auto, so this one automatically finds, well, it's supposed to automatically find the mixer that's connected to the network. It doesn't work on mine for some reason, but I usually like to enter the mixer manually anyhow. So you'll see on this page, we have the option to add a mixer with the little plus button or edit a current mixer over here with the edit button. And I have a ton of different mixers in here because I work with a bunch of different groups. You probably won't have any if this is your first time setting up, and that's okay. What we're gonna do is hit the plus button here, and where it says IP address, we're just gonna copy it over from where it reads out on the mixer. So in this case, it is 169.254.51.243, and the unit name, again, we could call this Little Elm TF3. And I'm gonna hit done. So because I've already entered this particular mixer and labeled it in my list there, it says the IP address already exists. Do we want to overwrite it? Yes, I do. And so here is our Little Elm TF3. There's the IP address. And again, you may only have one option here if it's just your mixer you're working on. And we're gonna hit connect. And it's syncing with the mixer. It's really that easy to get set up. And so now we're in with the mixer, and if I move the master stereo output fader, you'll see it move on the mixer. And likewise, if I move a channel in the iPad app, you'll see it move on its own thanks to those motorized faders on the mixer. Now, if your mixer is a little bit old and it's seen some use, the faders might get sticky. So one thing that's important to note is that when you move a fader in the app on your iPad and the slider gets stuck on the mixer, the system, the computer system in the mixer is going to be looking at the value that the iPad sent it. So even if one of these gets stuck, the value that you see here is what the mixer is going to read. So from here, we can close out of the network screen by just hitting the home button and taking us back to this screen. And we're pretty much ready to take our iPad up to the top of the stadium, up to the top of our band tower, and have a great rehearsal. So that's pretty much it. In a different video, I can walk you through different stuff in the iPad app, but it's really all the same stuff that we would access here on the screen to begin with. So if you haven't caught my video on how I like to set these mixers up before the start of marching band season, just know that, well, one, that's a good video to check out, but also everything in that video that we did on the touchscreen built into the mixer, you can do on the iPad app as well. One last tip I have for you is that sometimes, and I have seen this happen before, the mixer can assign a different IP address to the same Wi-Fi router, even if it's been the same IP address for like a month. Sometimes it can assign a different IP to that router. So what's important here, the takeaway, is to make sure that after you have it set up for the first time and you're using it regularly, to make sure that you're visiting that network page within the setup menu to ensure that your IP address is still matching up with what the mixer assigns to the Wi-Fi router. So if for whatever reason you get set up one day for rehearsal and the app is not connecting to the mixer, the first place I would look is that IP address because it may have changed. And that's it. That's all there really is to getting your iPad connected to your TF console so that you can mix wirelessly from up top without having to run down to the bottom of the stadium every single time you need to make a change. It's certainly something, it's a tool that I use every single rehearsal that I go out to because 9 out of 10 of my clients are using a Yamaha board just like this one. It's just an incredibly valuable tool to have in the arsenal. So be sure to drop any comments or questions down in the comment section below. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. And you're also welcome to reach out through the website, microphonicdesigns.com/contact. Drop me a line, and again, I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I'd certainly be happy to help. All right, until next time, take care.